Hey guys, hope you're all well. As some of you may know from Instagram and things like that, I was recently at Bury Tomorrow's Kentish Town show, and we did have a really great interview with Dan from Bury Tomorrow. However, as these things do happen, technology did not quite work in my favour that day, and the sound was cut off from the beginning. But this is the good thing. I was able to salvage pretty much half of the interview. So I just wanted to say that that's why you're seeing me talking about the interview before it goes into it, and there's no kind of weirdness about it. But anyway, enjoy the interview. I had a really fantastic time talking to Dan. He's such a lovely guy, and I hope that you find out some really cool stuff about Bury Tomorrow.
I think the difference on this one is we had an elongated period of time for pre-production, which is something that was massively different on this record. We basically were all in a room ripping apart these demos and rebuilding them and rewriting them and making sure everything was as good as it could be, which is something we'd never done before. We'd done it slightly on Earthbound, but this time there was no song that was perfect. We absolutely tore songs to shreds, rewrote them, scrapped other songs. We scrapped probably about 5 songs that we didn't want. Or took parts out of them and put them into the songs that we've got now, and then we came out with the record that we've got. So yeah, that was probably the difference, I think.
Okay. So what about in terms of the actual concept of Black Flame? Could you explain that for us?
Yeah, I mean, Black Flame for us, when I first wrote that kind of ethos behind it, was the Black Flame is a symbol. It is a kind of force for us, our fan base, the people that are involved with us, the people that work with us. And then kind of the new, it's for the old fans, but it's also for the new fans that we're trying to spread to. And obviously, as we know, fire spreads, and it's that ability to spread a kind of fandom, if you will, or this community of music, this community of metalcore. And then we've always, we make no bones about the fact we love our fans. Absolutely, we live by that every single day. We make sure we look after our fans. But it's also the kind of element of kind of destroying the old and creating this new force, which is something that almost I suppose appeared once we'd written the album. We were kind of sat there thinking this album could actually take over some of the songs that we have written and are our biggest songs. We have songs that we've written a long time ago, things like Lionheart, Honourable Rain. These are humongous songs for our band. They always have been. And on this tour, we didn't play Lionheart. It's the first time in 8 years we took it out of our set, and it has always been our biggest song, and I haven't been asked about it once.
Really?
Yeah. And so it's like that kind of perpetual motion of what Black Flame's actually doing, this kind of sense of community, I think is overtaking a lot of the kind of traditional, we love that Bury Tomorrow song, I heard that when I was in school, or I heard that when I was in college, and it's the nostalgia, because we're kind of an enigma, because we have people know us as an older band, some people do, and people will see us as a nostalgic band, which is because, I can understand that, because I've been in this band since I was 17 years old, and 12 years later, but also some people see us as this brand new band that does singing and screaming, and they write metalcore, and Black Flame's been pushed to the absolute masses, and they see that as our first album, which is, we're in this weird kind of juxtaposition of being old kids that have done good, to being this new band, and I think that's all down to this record, and how we wrote it, and the message we put behind it, plus the production, as we spoke about before.
So in terms of, the UK scene, bands the likes of Bring Me the Horizon, Architects are doing, amazing for the actual fan base and everything like that. Yeah. With mainstream radio play and things like that, would that be something that you would kind of aspire to, or would you kind of want to keep it more independent?
I think it's difficult, man. I think, for us, we are a metal band through and through. We'll never change that. I can't sing, so I do my thing. So as long as I'm here, it's going to be getting heavier and heavier. And we listen to heavy bands. We live and breathe metal. We always have done. We live and breathe metalcore as well. So, Killswitch Engage, As I Lay Dying, these kind of bands. So, yeah, it's a kind of weird position for our band, because we are so heavy, but we also have hooks, and that's how we write. We write rock choruses in brutal music. So it's Jace is very good at what he does when he writes melodies, and we always kind of try and perfect them so they are as catchy and memorable as possible. So yeah, I mean, if the tides shift and mainstream radio wants to play our music, then I am all for it. I'm all for our music being heard by as many people as possible. I'm not going to feel like it's a sellout, because we know that we've got our integrity. Every single album since the start has got heavier and heavier. So technically, I'd love it, and all for it for bands that really push that music. I know Bring Me had a kind of shift in their kind of, I suppose, the genre and how they... and what they wanted to achieve with that record, and they achieved it. So more power to them. Architects are an enigma, an absolute force that is the biggest metal band in this country, undoubtedly. It's not a bad thing. It's a positive thing, and I don't by any means view it as selling out what they've done. I think they've made a very sensible move, and I think they smash it.
Obviously, as you've mentioned, you've been in the band for a long, long time. Yeah. So what has being in Bury Tomorrow taught you about yourself?
Everything. Yeah, I think pretty much my entire character, how I am with people. I was an incredibly introverted person before I joined Bury Tomorrow. It's helped me understand the connections that you can make, both be it by yourself and kind of when you look at yourself and how you react with other people, kind of reaction and in conversations, and being able to be charismatic and be able to switch on being charismatic, because if you're naturally introverted, charisma is one of those things that are a little bit quite out there, and I think it gave me a lot of confidence in how I am, and it also redefined that I know I'm a good person. Like, I look after our fans, and I will do until the end of our days, and I respect our fans, and it also grounds me, and being in a band as long as I have, I can always think back to when we played in front of 5 people or another band instead of anybody turning up. I can always do that. Whereas I think if bands rise very quickly, which a lot of bands do, we're in the digital age. You can get big in a heartbeat here, and I think it's quite difficult for some bands to stay grounded. And I think that's why I wouldn't blame those bands for sometimes really delving out and having this kind of mindset of rock star mentality and stuff. But I don't have that, because I can look back and remember playing that city 10 years ago in front of nobody, and actually if the people that did, or 5 people that turned up, are the 5 people that I can see in amongst 5,000 people, and it's like, I think that's the important thing. It's also taught me how to do my vocals and be heavy and gnarly and and not wreck my voice every night and not live on strepsils. But yeah, luckily I don't do that anymore. But yeah.
Thank you so much for having a chat, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you.